Hey, it's March 19th, 2026 in the year of our Lord, and welcome back once again to the Hotel Orloff. We have been trying to go through a bunch of long boxes of Bronze Age comic books and we're going through alphabetically. We've already seen all the Silver Age and Golden Age comics. Now we're going through the Bronze Age and whatever age comes after the Bronze Age. And so I think we've worked our way up to Detective Comics. It is Thursday morning. I recorded an episode yesterday. It took, I think I started uploading it about noon yesterday, and it took until about 5:30 this morning for it to upload. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe the Wi-Fi speed is slow. Who knows what's going on. Watching cartoons on throwback television. Throwback television seems to have been cured as of about 48 hours ago. It was shutting off constantly. It's an app on Roku. So yeah. So yeah. Hold on, we need more lighting. What other cliches could I say of the modern world? So yeah, perfect. It is what it is. We'll circle back on that. Okay, so great. Great. Okay, let's look at Detective Comics, shall we? So these are going to be Detective Comics, 20-cent cover price and up in my collection as of now. Then I got to do some cleaning up later. I'm going to clear off those pinball machines back here today for sure. Okay. Okay, all right. Wait a second. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I don't really have that many Detective Comics. I didn't realize that. Okay, we looked at The Demon yesterday. Those of you that tune out whenever I start DJing, playing my imaginary oldies, if you fast forward later in the episode, you'll see that I actually showed more books yesterday. I've got to take a phone call real quick. Hold on. Okay. So, we're looking at Detective Comics, I guess. I got you cornered. Then you give up. You're not a termite, and you can't eat your way out of this one. Why do I have so much trouble? I'm bigger than a termite. Oh, okay. You rotten termite, take my advice and stay out of my way. Well, they've reissued the Aurora Monster Scenes kits again. They did that about 10, 15 years ago. They originally came out around 1970, I believe, 71. They were the slightly smaller model kits. They had the Aurora, of course, monster kits that were made throughout the 60s, but there's the monster scenes were the ones that I always call the torture chamber kits. There's all these torture devices, and then there was Mad Doctor, that had a part of his skull exposed, and then there was a victim that you put into all the torture chamber devices, and then there was Frankenstein, and then they had Vampirella, who had so they must have come out about 1971, because the first issue of Vampirella was, I think, in late 1969. So anyway, they didn't go over too well with parents, and Nabisco bought the Aurora company and didn't really like the idea that they were making torture chamber devices for kids, so they discontinued the line. But anyway, they reissued them, and that's about all the new news that I've got. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Let's pull out a few here. Okay, we begin with not really a facsimile. It's from Toys R Us. It's a special replica edition, but you can see it's very thin. So it doesn't reprint the whole issue of Detective Comics 38 with the first appearance of Robin. And it has these modern, hideous advertisements. This was obviously done in the 1990s when the cartoon was on. Although this is when the VHS releases came out. Anyway, Toys R Us no longer exists, as you know. 1997, late 90s, because that's weird the way it bleeds to the edge, the artwork. Yeah. Oh, that dates it to that horrible movie, Batman and Robin. But anyway, this was free, as I recall, at Toys R Us, and then this replica edition of Detective Comics. Black ink on. I should know the number, 359. I actually own an original copy of this, but that's with my Silver Age comics. So this just reprints the main story, the first appearance of Batgirl, of the Silver Age Batgirl. There was another Batgirl and a Batwoman in the 50s, but it was a different character. And of course, really her first appearance was on the TV show. This kind of ties in. She was created for the TV show for the third season to try to, bring something fresh and maybe appeal to the dads watching the show. And, I guess more. Let's see. My first Detective Comics in the Bronze Age, $4.26. Now only 20 cents. The ones that were 25 cents before this are, with my Silver Age comics. Now, this has been miscut, so it looks like number 42, but it's a number just because it's not a spine roll, it's just the way it was printed, the cover was printed. It's a really cool cover. So this is actually, I lied. This should probably be with my Silver Age book, shouldn't it? Well, it's not. So this would be before this one, because the comics were 15 cents. DC went up to 25 cents with 52 big pages, and then they decided to go back down to 20 cents. So that's the order. $4.29. Again, this should be bagged and boarded, but I took a lot of my comics out of their bags and boards a long time ago, and because the bags and boards were, well, the bags were in terrible condition, and then I just have never been able to get them back into bags and boards. What we're dealing with here, my better reading glasses are still down in the basement from when I was DJing that show yesterday. This is $4.29 from November of '72. So this actually came out in September of '72, the beginning of my second grade year. I'll let you know when I get to the first Detective Comics that I actually bought as a kid. $4.29, and then 10 issues later, here's $4.39. Those 10 issues in between would be great ones to have, but look at that great house ad. Fun and low prices at most of these stores. This is an ad for dime stores. Well, what they used to call 5 and dime stores. Now they call them dollar stores, but 5 and dime stores really were much higher quality stuff than what you'd see in a dollar store today. But they were called 5 and dime stores from my parents' generation when 5 cents or 10 cents really had value. Fun and low prices at most of these fine stores. McCrory, I remember McCrory. McClellan, don't remember that. H.L. Green, Brits, J.J. Newberry, Hested, S. Klein. They possibly all these stores have the same owner, but McCrory, they had a McCrory drugs. Well, it was a 5 and dime. They had a McCrory at the Six Flags Mall in the '70s, so I remember that. And they had a soda counter, where you could get sandwiches and stuff. Look at this house ad for the horror books that DC was doing. Because they're reprinting these stories from the '60s in here, and a lot of times in the '60s they had a house ad at the bottom, and so they've replaced those house ads that were from the '60s with new ones that are quite spectacular in here. Anyway, this is the cast of characters that they reprinted stories from. Here's $4.41. Any of these 100-page spectaculars that I'm missing, I really ought to seek out. It's kind of criminal that I don't have them all. But I've done my best over 55 years of collecting. This is what I've been able to acquire. $4.45. I never did much mail order. It was just, this is what I found in the wild, as a $4.49. Every time I look at this cover, I think they're rats. From a distance, it looks like he's got a bunch of rats, like he's the Pied Piper of Hamelin, right? But then you look at it close up. I said "oh" again. I'm fighting this. I've started saying "oh" all the time, and the last few episodes, it's really become a horrible thing. Is better than "oh"? I don't know. I don't remember the story. Maybe these bowls are miniature, or they must be, because the scale is all completely off. There's a great Batman rode a horse. There was a Mexican Batman called Bat Hombre, and and he had a mustache, and he rode a horse, and the horse had a Batman cowl. And anyway, there's an AI Batman, like almost 40-minute AI film that I discovered last night. Same guy that did a fake 1966 Batman episode about 6 months ago. I don't know, maybe a year ago. Anyway, it's all AI. They call apparently the phrase is AI slop. These people that use AI to make messed up, funny films, intentionally wanting them to look bad and crazy and insane. Anyway, it's anyway, Batman's got a riding around on a horse in that. I'll show you the film here in a minute. I'm recording these cartoons right now. Okay, so that's that. Okay, this one I bought when it came out. This one coming up is a childhood copy. So I guess I'm responsible for these spine ticks here. But this is a glorious cover. It's really a spectacular cover. This is my childhood copy, and you look at it and you immediately know this is an Ernie Chua cover. I mean, really, look at that. And you see a signature EC. Why this cover's not sought after, why people don't talk about it, why people don't talk about Ernie Chua, also known as Ernie Chan, I don't know. But he was really making a name for himself at this time. For me, at least. Here's another one. Look at this redesign of their logo. I think they didn't use this long, did they? In 456, it's the traditional logo that's been around since the Golden Age. And here how many issues are between these? 456, 440, there's 4 issues in between. Also, let's see, Ernie Chua. I would have thought I had more detective comics from the early 70s. We're already into the mid 70s here, 1975. But that was a childhood copy. So is this one, 461. Already to the... it was on this one too. That wasn't on that really spectacular one, was it? I don't think so. Yeah, luckily they didn't have the UPC code on this one. Man, that's a great cover. That's just great. And then 464 is another great one, also a childhood copy. Look, I've always just look at the way the color fades up. Great. Now, yesterday they released the Spider-Man trailer, and within the trailer they had recreated covers from about 4 or 5 different Spider-Man comics, and those comics are shooting up in value now. I mean, obviously Amazing Fantasy 15, that was the most obvious one, but they did one from the 90s with Boomerang. I mean, I knew that pose I'd seen somewhere, but I don't own that original comic because I wasn't buying Spider-Man then. I thought it was terrible in the 90s. Yeah, and then they recreate the first appearance of the tarantula, which I didn't really look like the tarantula, but yeah, I recognized that once it was pointed out to me. I recognized that because I own that comic. And I don't know. People are seeing things. They're saying that some people are saying that they see Rogue from the X-Men in one little brief shot on a train, and it's there's white in the hair, but it's a girl that doesn't have a chin. It's just like her head, probably like me. It just looks like if that's Rogue, they've cast, and I hate to say it, not a very attractive girl to play her, which makes no sense. So I don't know who that is, but people are thinking that they're hiding little characters that are going to appear. And then the Punisher appears, and Spider-Man's joking with the Punisher, and then the Punisher almost blows Spider-Man away, and then they joke more like they're friends. It didn't. It seemed the tone seemed a little off. Like, why are they talking? Why are they joking with each other like they're friends? Whoa, after. But okay, whatever. I'm sure it'll be much better than the average Marvel movies. That's the way it usually is with the Spider-Man films. But as I recall, in the last Spider-Man movie, he completely everyone that he knew he was forced to forget him. So you thought, okay, we can start fresh, and Spider-Man will be able to be. They'll be able to reset Spider-Man where he's not just a protege of Iron Man, and they can get new people to play Mary Jane and all of the cast, the Flash Thompson, Ned Leeds that actually look like Steve Ditko or John Romita drew them, and not just these kind of horrible. I don't know, but it looks like the whole movie's going to be him all mooning about that all his old friends forgot him, and I don't know. What else can you do? It's just another. We'll see. We'll see. Coming out this summer. We'll see how great it is. Here's 468. This is a Jim Aparo cover, not Ernie Chan. 469. These are all childhood copies here from this point on here. 472. Um, 473. 474. These all need to be rebagged, and they don't have boards because it didn't used to be in the old days that boards were even a thing. 475. This one, I think they just made a facsimile of it, if I'm not mistaken, because the Joker fish cover has become kind of famous and sought after. 475. 477. I guess this one I could seal up, even though it doesn't have a board, and the bag is. These bags, those old Mylites that I put the comics in the early 80s or maybe late 70s still look good, but these bags are just. Okay, here's one without a bag board. 478 from the 35-cent era. The DC Explosion. Oh, the new characters. Watch for full details next month. And then it didn't work out, and then there was something called the DC Implosion, where they canceled a bunch of titles. This is Marshall Rogers and Dick Giordano, artist. I always pronounced it Lin Win, but I think it's Lin Wine, writer. July, August, 78. So, my wife was born in May of 78, so this would have been the Batman comic that would have been on the stands when she was born. Okay, this is when DC decided to raise their price to 50 cents. You know, they thought that they could jump from 35 cents, 15 cents, 15-cent jump by adding pages and making the page count 44 pages, and then adding an extra story in there. It didn't work out, and so they wound up reducing the price to 40 cents like Marvel had done, and reducing the page count. Well, no, not with this title. I'll show you. Some titles they did that, but some they hold on a second. Well, I've been waiting for people to put up some comic book videos, but nobody seems to be doing it. 480. Okay, so I guess instead, with some titles, they reduced it down to 40 cents. And some of the DC titles went up to $1. And they thought if they raised the price to $1 and gave kids 68 pages, it was pretty much the thickness of a Golden Age comic, that would work. And then they also have no ads from cover to cover. And it didn't work out either. They also were excitedly announced there were no reprints, and of course I like the reprints. That wasn't a problem for me. The reprints were actually a selling point, because at this point in time in the history of comic collecting, it was not easy for someone that was 12 years old to acquire old comics from the Golden Age, or even really from the Silver Age. In the summer of '77, a comic book store opened in my town, and then that allowed me to get older comics, but I had a limited budget, and man, I certainly wouldn't have been able to afford Golden Age Batman comics. So I like to see the reprints. Okay, let me pull out some more here. This is Detective Comics number 482. It's confusing because there was another comic called Batman Family, and you have to look closely to see this is actually an issue of Detective Comics. So I've got to take all these boxes back upstairs. That's going to be a big undertaking. See, there are no ads. They have artwork on the back. It's a Baby Huey cartoon playing right now. So we're up to 483. $484. $485. $4.90. Got an Andrew and Esposito cover that's trying to channel Neil Adams there. That was $4.90. I guess I don't have $4.91. Here's $4.92. $4.97. The 500th issue is $1.50. Let's see. Boy, it's so hard to tell. Tajana Wood doing the colors here. That was Wally Wood's wife, I believe. This Hawkman story with Joe Kubert art. It's very difficult because his style was consistent. If you look at it and it's like, is this a reprint from the 60s or is this a new story? And I think that everything in here is a new story. But they're characters from the past of Detective Comics. You know, it's telling you that here. What? 7 special stories by Walter Gibson, creator of The Shadow. Then they list all the artists. Okay, let me see. Walter Gibson. What do they mean? Wasn't the creator of The Shadow deceased by this point? Oh, Carrie Bates, writer. Yeah, at first I would think that's a reprint from the 60s, but I think these are all new stories. It's just artists from back then. 7 special stories by Walter Gibson, creator of The Shadow. I have to do some research to see what the heck they're talking about. Maybe there's an editorial page where they explain it. Okay. Walter Gibson, creator and writer of The Shadow, through 283 novels, is an accomplished magician and even scripted a couple of Batman stories during the 40s. He returns now with a special text tale illustrated by Tom Yates, one of the rising artistic stars of the comics. Oh, it's just a text story in here that's. Then why they say 7 special stories by Walter Gibson? That. Oh, I just keep saying, oh, this story here must be broken into 7 chapters, so they're calling them 7 stories. And it does go on quite a few pages, like a pulp magazine. Okay, so I guess it's possible Walter Gibson was still alive then. Interesting. For some reason I never noticed that. 501. Okay. We're into the 80s at this point. 503. Okay. I always thought that ad was hideous. Roller disco. You'll see these new comic collectors will say, my comic is damaged, it's got these colors on it. But that was done so that retailer could look from above and tell what month the comic was and whether it was time to pull that comic that hadn't sold by the different colors for each month. That was done during this time period. 510. Okay, so now we've got Gene Colan, so it's starting to look like Tomb of Dracula. And of course, Gene Colan had also done Doctor Strange and Daredevil. But 520. 523. I've got a new thing bugging me. There's always something I can't find, and the thing I can't find now somehow is a 7-Eleven Slurpee cup of the Marvel character Thundra. And so that's my quest now, is to find where the heck I put that. This is 530. 538. 7 yet? 717. 545. I really should retape these bags. They're not sealed, but I don't have any tape. 565. Actually, there may be some tape upstairs. Okay. At what point do I stop buying Detective Comics is the next question, because everything turned bad eventually. All my favorite comics got to the point where they were terrible. It's just, what year did they turn terrible? That is the question. Okay. 566. This one says September 1986, classic cover art by Dick Giordano featuring Batman's Rogues Gallery. So this is a present I got from Night Tiger as part of I won a prize in a big stack of comics. So that he makes annotations on his comics, and he put where he got it. He got it Webster. I think that's a flea market in Florida. September 1st, 24 for $2. When I see 24, I'm not used to living in the 20s. I think 1924. It still doesn't compute that I lived through a 24 and that it's now 26. I still think 1926. Okay, so here's 567. This is a nice Catwoman cover, 570. 571, 572, 573, okay. Then McFarlane with Alfredo Alcala. Well, Alfredo Alcala should be able to fix McFarlane's art. This is 576. There's a bunch of issues right along here where they all kind of look like the same cover. It's confusing. They're all the same color in the 577. And I guess, it's part of a little series. Batman Year 2. So I have Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. That's why they all have a similar cover. But I don't have Part 1. But you can see that covers are so similar that you would easily forget which ones you owned. And see, that's probably why I have 2 copies of that. So I guess I should get Part 1. I don't know. Is that a valuable comic? Who the heck knows? 578. 580. Another 580. They're changed up the logo again. Here's 581. 586. 589. Another copy of 589. Here's 590. How about that? Looks like we're nearing the end. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Oh, boy. Yeah, I see some of these upcoming books are kind of ugly looking. Yeah, this artwork is, I don't think that's very good, but what can I say? 593, 595. This was the one that was on the stands, as I recall, when the Batman movie with Michael Keaton the Tim Burton movie came out. This is 598. And they have Sam Hamm, that wrote the script for the Tim Burton movie, writing this story. March of '89. I thought the Batman movie came out maybe May or June of '89. So that may have been on the stands a little bit in advance of that. 608. Let's see what it looks like inside. So we're getting into the 90s here. So Three Stooges cartoon. I thought I heard Mo Howard's voice there. They get Dick Sprang. Wasted opportunity. They get Dick Sprang, who's elderly at this point, the classic Batman artist, to come and do covers and and they have him do this demonic mutated version of Batman instead of drawing Batman the way he used to draw him. To me, that's a wasted opportunity. And so 622, I'm missing 623. 624, he's still this demonic, doesn't really look like Batman. And at this point, Dick Sprang was doing some artwork for fans. 625 and 625. Oh man. I guess the art is still tolerable here at this point. Yeah, it's Jim Aparo. It's still okay. We're into the 90s. There's an ad for a ultra gory video game on the back. That's 625. 627 is an anniversary issue. What anniversary is it? Oh, Batman's 600th appearance in Detective Comics, because it's 627 and he first appeared in issue 27. 2 copies of that. 630. 633. And here's 641. Okay, Jim Aparo's doing pencils here. Mike DiCarlo inks. Artwork's still good. How far are we into the 90s at this point? And of course, February 92, and the Batman animated series, which was fantastic, came on television, and I thought it was better than the actual Batman comics being published at the time. To put this in perspective time-wise, when Wayne's World came out, which I never watched. What am I saying? I was getting it mixed up with Bill and Ted. I never saw Wayne's World, so I got several copies of this issue. I don't know why. Okay, that's 641. 653. You start to see the influence of the 90s, although I do like this art of Huntress. It's just 653. So we're at the second Batman movie had just come out. Which I believed that when movies came out or cartoons were on Saturday morning, that it increased the people reading the comics increased, because that's the way it was traditionally. When the Batman TV series was on the air in '66, kids started to read the Batman comic more, and they started to put Batman on front and center on the cover of Justice League and everything. I just thought that's the way it worked. But I went into a comic store when the X-Men cartoon was on the air in Longview, Texas, and I said, "You must be getting a lot of kids in wanting to read the X-Men comic." He says, "Oh no, he explained to me that does not happen. But I guess in the age of video games, if you're into the X-Men on TV, you would just buy a video game. Then a lot of those kids probably were unaware that the X-Men even was a comic book. This is 656 with an artist, Sam Keith. 678. This Sam Keith, this cover, man, it's like just like a mental patient drew it. It's that looks like this is an annual, 1992 annual. Looks like that's my last Detective Comics in my collection. But then we move on to Jack Kirby's Devil Dinosaur. I bought all these off the stands. Number 2, number 3, number 4. It's this little cave boy that teams up with a red dinosaur. 5. 6. This cave girl's got a bouffant hairdo, like this is an ancestor of Dolly Parton here. And the cave people don't, have those weird extended mouths and brows like Cro-Magnon. Their faces just look like it just looks like it just looks like modern faces on cave people's bodies. Maybe that's what cavemen look like, huh? And hair all over their body. It's fantastic. 7. Every time I see this cover, I think someone scribbled all over the cover, but it's when you look at it, it looks like some kid with a marker was scribbling on it, but no, that's rope tying up Devil Dinosaur. Number 8. Number 9, I assume this is the final issue because it's the last one I had, and I don't remember stopping buying it. I do not have Doc Savage number 1, but I have Doc Savage number 2 with a Steranko cover. Doc Savage number 2. And I have another copy that I bought for $1. And this book predated the movie that came out in 1975. And I can't tell you 100% for certain, but I think that the comic may have inspired George Powell to make that movie, but I can't tell you 100% for certain that I'm giving you because the paperbacks had been popular all through the 60s and 70s. The paperbacks that reprinted the old pulp magazines, but here's a copy of number 3, and then this gets canceled long before the movie comes out, and then another copy of 3, and when the movie comes out, they have a black and white magazine tied in with it, and that goes on for at least a year and a half, I think. 3, 4. There was a Gold Key Doc Savage adaptation in the 60s. And then before that, in the Golden Age, there were some Doc Savage adaptations of the pulp, but they didn't follow the pulp stories closely at all. Doc Savage 4 with a, oh my gosh, it's not a Mark Jewelers insert, but it's similar. This was also done, I think, just on military bases. This one's more fun than a Mark Jewelers insert. It says free schooling so you can become a police officer or detective when you get out of the military. And then there's the jewelry stuff, right? But it's National Diamond Sales instead of Mark Jewelers. And then they have this ad for lingerie in a children's comic book. But obviously older guys that read comics. Older people have always read comics, but they're it's just weird, obviously, because kids bought these comics at the PX. Kids that were that had dads, I guess, or moms in the military. Back then, it was mostly dads. Now, I guess it's more common for women to be on the military. This is a copy of 4. This one, this one is miscut. Let me show you. It just happened at the printer. Part of the cover wound up on the back, and including the 2. So it looks like 0 cents. This is a free comic. Okay, so the thing about it, when you get a miscut comic, what you don't think about is you actually get more of the art on the side. So let's see. This one, you see more. There's the end of the tip of the submarine. You get to see. Hold on. Like you get to see more of that rock. How about that? And isn't that exciting? So, number 5. And this is a number 5 that's in wretched condition. Looks like some of the spine is gone, possibly bug chew, and then it looks like there's some smoke damage from a fire. Here's number 6. And I got these self-sealing bags, and I couldn't figure out how to make them work. It's like, there's nothing sticky here. How does this work? And so I put them in the bags, and then now, 10 years later, now I know that you're supposed to pull the strip off, but it wasn't intuitive to me. So now that the bag is completely old and worthless and wrinkled, now I'm finally sealing it without a backing board. Anyway, that's number 6. And this is one that I've had for years because it's got the myelite. Another 6. And then there was 7. So I have the whole run except for issue 1. I don't think that issue 1 is sought after key issue to the key issue people. But, oh, there's more. But I don't yet have it. And I'll forget. Sorry, yesterday I went on for 6 hours, I think. And then this episode will go up today, and people will say, I can't watch all of it. I'll just unsubscribe. I can't take it anymore. Here's number 8. There's another copy of number 8. And yet another copy of number 8. Let's take it out and look at it, since this one isn't sealed. And I think that's the end of the run of Doc Savage. So let's see. This would be January of 74. And I'd say that Doc Savage movie must have come out about March, April of 75. And I don't think it took years to make that Doc Savage movie. At least I don't think so. But what do I know? So who knows? Let's see if there's a promotion at the end for the next issue. Or if they just say, sorry, this is our last issue. All it has is the code of Doc Savage. Let me strive to make myself better, that all men may profit from it. Let me help all men without regard for anything but justice. Let me be considerate of humanity and nature in all I do. Let me do right to all and wrong to none. The Code of Doc Savage, 1932. So that's how they end the last issue. Actually, whoa, there's a Doc Savage giant size issue. This is, what did I say this was? January of 74. So that's during my 3rd grade year. That sucks. Okay, but this came out, and notice that the Doc Savage logo they were using was like that. That's the logo that was used on the paperbacks and for the movie. And this giant size issue from 1975. So the comic had been gone for a year, and they put out a giant size issue during the time they were putting out giant size issues. And it adapts the story from the pulp that was used for the movie. So it says, from George Powell's senses-shattering production of Doc Savage, Man of Bronze, mind-boggling movie issue. So that this came out, and then the black and white magazine came out that had Ron Ely on the cover. I've got 3 copies of this. And so that Marvel magazine went on for a little bit, and then in 1987, DC got a hold of the rights, and here's issue 2. And I think, yeah, this is the same run, number 7. Then another DC time they tried to do it. Was this, and that's it. As far as Doc Savage goes, I don't know what this even is. Some variant. It looks like I got it in a cheap bin, real cheap. It's Doctor Doom #1, and they've got Mary Jane like Marilyn Monroe and Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. It's a variant cover. Dr. Fate, 1989 annual. Well, that's when the comics started to look like modern art, less like comics in the 80s. Guess they thought it would be less embarrassing to read a comic that looked like that than something with garish blurbs on the cover and bright colors. If it looks depressing, it'll look intellectual, because intellectuals are always depressed. Yeah, when you get into English literature, when you're in college, you realize, man, these poets, all they thought about was doom, gloom, and death. That's the smarter you get, the more you just get depressed, I guess. Okay. Here's first of 4 issues of Dr. Fate. Is issue 5. Is this the new Dr. Fate? Looks like I bought that twice. And here's some other series of Dr. Fate that looks pretty horrible. And wait, that's second of 4 issues, so that must go with that other one. Where was that at? That's okay. I don't know what Dr. Fate is what? This looking very 1990s is issue 41. Whenever Patriot Games came out with Harrison Ford, I forgot Harrison Ford was in a Tom Clancy movie. 1992. It didn't take long going into, and by 1992, the industry was toast. It just, everything looks terrible. Okay, so now we're into something good, man. Doctor Strange #1. Got this recently. Doctor Strange #2. Doctor Strange #3. Doctor Strange 4. This is my childhood copy. This is the first Doctor Strange I bought. Remember buying it at the PX. Feel like I'm at the dentist. Ah. Gotta get it the right scale. Oh well. Here's a beat up copy of Doctor Strange #4 that was not my childhood copy. It's like this ad giving you a little glimpse of the underground in an above ground comic book. That t-shirt ad for the Natural Trading Company. You could get a Mickey Rat shirt. I used to have a Mickey Rat shirt. Where is that? Now there's another thing I'm going to be looking for. This came from a quarter bin at Lone Star Comics. That's the stamp they would put on comics that they just put into quarter bins, unbagged, and, you know. Here's 5. And they only did that because the condition was so bad. Another copy of 5. Here's another copy of 5. This one feels thick, but no, it is not a Mark Jewelers variant. Ad for War is Hell. And a Dormammu marble value stamp. Just beautiful art in these early issues. It's 5, 6. And then a bad condition copy of 6. So you could get this Spider-Man squirt gun that would spit on you. I don't think I've ever seen one in real life. February of 75. So this came out in December of 74. And that was the year that for Christmas of December 74, I got the origins of Marvel Comics and this Marvel calendar. 6, 7. It was at this point I really went in hook, line, and sinker for the Marvel superheroes during 4th grade. Before, I was buying Marvel, but I was concentrating on monster stuff. But then I discovered that the superhero stuff was cool too. #7. Another copy of 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Reminds me of those Hammer movies when Dracula would see a cross or be exposed to sunlight. 12. 13. 14. This is one I got very recently. 15. This book stayed good for a while. Another copy of 15. So I'm missing 16. I might have 16 at Gotham City Comics waiting for me. I'm not sure. It's great. I'm trying to remember if Gene Colan was drawing Tomb of Dracula while he was doing Doctor Strange. 17. Okay, I'm missing 18. Here's 19. This is not a childhood copy. It's not the condition I would have kept a comic in. Oh. I said, oh. Alfredo Alcala, guest artist. That's interesting. Alfredo Alcala doing Doctor Strange. Where are the great artists now? Why were there so many back then and there aren't? I guess they're not in the comic book industry. That's 20. 21. Another copy of 21. 22. Another copy of 22. 23 from 1977. Now, a couple of years before Westworld had come out. I think that's pretty much the Westworld logo. They've just changed it to Worm World. Um, 23, missing 24. 25 has a pretty great cover. If you just look at it like this, it looks, if I cover that and only show you that, it almost looks like you're looking at a Silver Age issue of Strange Tales. But then you turn it over and it's got an ad for Orca, and you realize it's not the 60s anymore. October 1977. I wonder when did Hollywood start advertising in comic books? I know there were ads for the Batman 66 movie in comics back then. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Hollywood advertising in comics. 25. Another copy of 25. I'm missing 26 and 27. Here's 28. I'm missing 29. Here's 30. I remember buying this issue when it came out. So we're up to 78 now. 31. 32. Look at these maniacs, the looks on their faces. Jaws 2. Saturday Morning Fever is on the rise on NBC. I remember the little jingle. It's when they had Godzilla and Gadzuki. They had Jana of the Jungle because they didn't want to pay the rights to do Sheena. They didn't have the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four cartoon. A lot of disappointment. Yes, indeed. Oh, what is this now? Rudy Nebris. I forgot about him. I think he's a Filipino artist as well. He's got a good style as also. Okay. Another copy of 32, and here's 33, which is some kind of magical number, so maybe that's appropriate for Doctor Strange. Okay, another copy of 33. Okay. Not liking this art as much. 34. Look at that guy's head. Okay, looks like, okay, with that's 34. I don't have 35. 36. Looks like we've got Gene Coleman coming back. And he does the interior. This is when Star Trek the movie came out, or the motion picture. It was Superman the movie and Star Trek the motion picture. 37. 38. 39. I'm not going to do a super long show today. I'll maybe this weekend. I'm missing some issues. Here's 42. 43. This art's a little strange, but no pun intended. You should never put a red letter on top on a pink background. You can't even see it. 44. 44. 45. I just kind of want to finish this box, but I got to eat breakfast, man. Maybe the rest of these books aren't worth looking at. I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking they might not be. 48. I don't know. Hold on. Put these back in. Shit. Let me take a look. Make my professional assessment. 49. Yeah, they're starting to look not as good. 56. We're into the 60-cent era now. 57. 58. George Burns and Gracie Ellen show. Another 58. 61. Now they're doing covers where they're not really tied into the story inside, which is something that would happen where these covers could be on just about any issue. 64. 65. See, that logo looks like the Carpenter's logo. Or is it a Fleetwood Mac thing? I can't. 65. Why do I have two copies? 66. 66, another 66, 67, and then 68. I'm sure there's some Doctor Strange in the next box coming up. 68, 69, but by this point, the world had changed, and I think just about everything was starting to go bad in the world. All right. I'll see you later.